Hey, hi everyone. This is Mohammad Yusha Khan, Executive Head of Code Web Hub and HackPrix Lead. So, how many of you know HackPrix? Hey, I'm not getting any. So, basically, HackPrix is a hackathon which is initiated by Code Web Hub last year, and the founder of this HackPrix is Afnan Abdul and here it is in Hyderabad. So we will be having it on 14th and 15th of June this year. Uh, you folks can text hi and you folks can hello, hello. I can't see any comments. So yeah, uh, we are going to organize a hackathon. So by this, this is the today the session is the third pre-hackathon session. So the session name is Beyond ChatGPT, which is building AI that actually done the same thing, but it is beyond ChatGPT. And this is third pre-hackathon sessions, which will be taken by the great speaker. His name is Atulpriya Sharma. He's a senior developer and advanced CNCF ambassador. So, hi Atul.
Hey Yosha, how are you? Thank you so much for having me here.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Yeah. So, he will be taking the session. So, Atul, here is your stage. Please continue. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining in. And let's keep this discussion two-way. Let's keep on discussing and interacting. So you can use the comment section and drop in, where are you joining in from? What do you do? And what are you looking forward to in today's session? And meanwhile, I'll try to get my screens up. And yeah. Yeah, I think my screen share is done, and yeah, there it is. So this is one thing that I keep on telling everyone that while you are in college, you learn a lot of things from networking to coding to databases and a bunch of other things. But one thing that you should really learn because eventually when you come out and work and participate in such communities is especially tech check, figuring out how the camera is working, how the mic's working, whether the screen share is working or not. So, a lot of things go into that part. But yeah, jokes apart, thanks again for joining in. And today I would be talking about building AI agents, essentially. So we would be looking at AI beyond ChatGPT. And for those of you who don't know me, a quick introduction about who I am. So I am Atulpriya Sharma, based out of Hyderabad. And since majority of you are from Hyderabad, I assume, uh, I stay very close to Ramoji Film City, and now you'll be like, hey, that's not Hyderabad. But yeah, I do stay, in the outskirts, but then based out of Hyderabad for about 11 years now. I work as a senior developer advocate at InfraCloud Technologies, and my work predominantly involves writing code. So I build demos with a lot of different set of technologies, and then convert those demos for consumable content for developers. And that could be a blog post, a white paper, a video, a webinar, things like that. And also, I engage in a lot of communities, especially related to cloud native and Kubernetes. I'm also a CNCF ambassador, and I organize the Cloud Native Hyderabad meetups. So if you're interested into cloud native, do join the CNCF Hyderabad page on LinkedIn and other places. And you'll find me talking more On the cloud native side of things, Kubernetes, platform engineering, and Gen AI. I have spoken at multiple international conferences, majorly KubeCons, and mostly on platform engineering as well. So if you want to connect with me, you can connect with me on my socials at the rate the Tech Maharaj on Twitter or X, however you would like to call it, and Atulpriya Sharma on LinkedIn. Now, while that is what I do at work, I have a completely different avatar outside of work. So I am a big time foodie and a travel blogger. So when I'm not working, not writing code, not creating blog posts or doing anything related to work, you can find me at a new restaurant or a new place that I'm exploring. And if you to follow those adventures on places to eat and places to explore, you can check out my Instagram page, Twitter handle at the rate Atul Maharaj, and check out my blog, socialmaharaj.com, where I have a bunch of articles on a lot of different things which is not related to work. So, with that out of the way, let's quickly look into the agenda. Basically, the things that I would be covering in today's session. So, we would start talking about how AI has evolved over the years and how software engineering has evolved. Then we would look a little bit into the AI, Gen AI, what basically Gen AI is. Then we will touch upon the various concepts that you would know, you should know. I won't be digging in deep because we have limited time, but we'll be touching upon some important concepts that you should know when you start working in the field of AI or Gen AI. We'll also be looking at a couple of ways of building AI agents. And then I'll be introducing OBOT, which is an open source tool for building AI agents. And then we'll have a quick demo on how you can use it. We'll quickly build an AI agent that can do a lot of things, and then we'll wrap up the session. So let us get started with a bit of history of AI. And in case if you know anything about the history of AI, feel free to put it in the comments and let us see what the knowledge of folks joining in is. Because for a lot of folks, AI seems like, hey, it's just 2 years or 5 years, but it's quite old compared to what a lot of us might have thought about. So the first edition or the first ever the word AI was mentioned was back in 1950s. That's almost 75 years from now. That's when Alan Turing had proposed a Turing test, which was essentially considered as the birth of AI, and that is where the famous Turing test, came into the picture. And so basically, it was that if a computer could pass the Turing test, it means it was intelligent. And then more and more developments happened. We moved on to a few years where we had some more AI programs that appeared that could solve some mathematical problems. So we had Eliza, that was one of the chatbots, early chatbots that was created in 60s. Then we had another application created called Mycene, which was mainly for the medicinal side of things. So it was able to identify bacteria in blood and was able to recommend antibiotics. And through the 90s, a lot of revival was done on the AI side on bringing it more closer to us, more closer to people, especially on the practical applications. And that's when, the IBM's famous Deep Blue came in, which was basically a chess bot. And what it was basically able to do was it was able to play chess. And infamously, it actually beat the chess champion back then in 97. So that was initially the start of AI, that, that's when computers were smarter than humans sort of thing that came into picture. But then the actual time when the machine learning actually took off was happened in the early 2000s. So a basic example could be around the recommendation systems on all the AI, all the video platforms that you see. So when you watch a video, you suddenly see something related that comes up as a suggestion. So these were the early usage of AI where they were able to understand your consumption pattern and suggest more videos, or even shopping carts, that hey, these are the things that you should buy, right? So these were quite initial ways of how AI was incorporated in a lot of things that we do. Obviously, in the late 2010s, we had the deep learning coming in, and a lot of algorithms uh, and various layers, various technologies like transformers, GANs coming in, which basically improved the way AI was able to understand how things are working and then accordingly respond. It was only during the early 2020s when AI actually became mainstream. That's when the whole assistant boom started. So all your Alexas, Siris, Google Homes, OK Googles, all of these things came at that point, and these were fairly smart enough. They were able to write an email for you, but still a lot more task driven, a lot more automation. But then the actual real boom actually started in the last couple of maybe 3, 4 years, especially when the whole LLM and the Chat GPT focus came in, and it just shot from there. So if I had to draw a graph of this, it would probably be like this for a few decades, and then suddenly it just shoots up the moment ChatGPT comes into picture, and that's when a lot of people realize that what are the various things that AI can do. Similarly, while AI was evolving, the software also kept on evolving. The kind of applications that we wrote. So initially, we had a typical monolith applications. So basically. One single class or one single module that consists of all the functions of an application of the software. So initially, that's how the code was written. But then that got evolved into microservices for a lot of benefits that it provides. So you talk about scalability, you talk about maintainability. That's where a lot of people started using or adopting microservices. So we moved from monoliths to microservices, and then it was the era of bots. So a lot of bot building solutions came into picture. So you started having a lot of conversational AI, and we are still a lot more in this space. So there are a lot more tools available. I'm sure you must have heard about vibe coding. That's happening now. So you basically talk to a system and it's able to generate code for you. So that is the era that we are in. Obviously, what the future holds is truly autonomous agents, which are able to do a lot of other things when it comes to dealing with a lot of complex tasks and taking more important decisions autonomously, and doing all of it while considering your context, because context is something which is really critical when it comes to working with AI systems. Now, let's get to the basics. And I think this is where I would want to talk about how the whole Gen AI thing is, or what exactly Gen AI is. So Gen AI is basically short for generative AI, and it is basically a class of AI models that can generate new content. So AI models or LLMs are basically algorithms in a very simple or very layman terms. These are algorithms that are able to generate new content, and this could be text, images, audio, code, or even video. And this all depends on the data that they have been trained on. So essentially, you have an algorithm, and then you train it with a lot of data of a particular type. And training essentially is feeding it with a lot of data which it can process. And based on what it has learned in the past, so let's say you threw let's say the entire Wikipedia, right? You took entire Wikipedia and then you put it to this, you passed it on to this algorithm. It went through the entire Wikipedia that you shared with it. And now when you are able, when you're asking it to, asking it a question based on what it has learned, it is actually giving you an output. So it is generating something based on what it already knows. So that essentially what Gen AI is. And in terms of the some examples, so obviously we touched upon the various types of generative things that AI can generate. So you have text, image, code, audio, and video. So text, I'm sure all of us know about ChatGPT, Google Gemini. We can use it to write essays, write emails, and do a bunch of other things. So text is one of the most common ways that we are using it. Obviously, we use it for image as well. So you can use ChatGPT, DALL-E, Midjourney. These are some quite popular tools available that can generate art from prompts. Uh, Anyone here who did not participate in the whole Ghibli trend that just came up? In case you are not part of the whole Ghibli trend, just give a thumbs up or something in the chat so that I know that there were people who were not part of the whole Ghibli trend because I was a part of it. So that was a very a viral thing that started, and that was essentially image generation that ChatGPT was able to do. Obviously, when it comes to coding, there are another set of tools which highly specialize on generating code for you. So GitHub Copilot is one of the most popular ones. It actually integrates with whatever IDE that you're using. So if you're using it with Visual Studio, you can configure it, and then it'll have the entire context of your current workspace that you're using. It'll understand all the files and modules that you have, and based on that, it can help you with code completion. It can generate unit tests, so on and so forth. Also, there are other very powerful tools like Cursor and Windsor, Aider, a bunch of other tools that you can use to generate or build applications. And lastly, there are a few tools that helps you generate audio and video content as well. So you can provide a prompt and it is able to generate content for you. It can be a video, it can be an audio, so it can do a bunch of other things. So generative AI, it can basically generate content, and it could be text, image, code, or video. uh, how it actually works, well, it's fairly simple, and all of us have basically seen how these things work. So it all starts with a basic prompt, and you essentially give a prompt to AI. You understand, so you basically say that, hey, I want to create, or maybe write a poem for me, right? So that's a prompt that you give it, and then it is able to predict the most likely next output one step at a time, and it actually continues doing this until the entire generation is complete, right? So let's say you say that, write me a poem about Hyderabad. So in a very layman term, it will probably take the word Hyderabad, and based on what data it has been trained on, and based on the prompt that you give, it is going to predict the next word. So it could be like, Hyderabad is the city of pearls, and that's how it's going to reiterate every time and generate the next word, and that's how it comes up with the poem. So this entire thing will continue until unless the entire content is generated. So essentially, this is how Gen AI systems or applications work. You give it a prompt. Based on the prompt and how the model is being trained on, it is able to predict what the next likely output would be, one step at a time, and then it continues doing this until the entire response is generated. So this was a pretty high level overview of how Gen AI systems work. Uh, and now I touch upon some important keywords or important words that all of us here should know, especially when we are talking about AI. So first things first, the LLM, or also known as large language models. These, are, like I said, are essentially algorithms in a very layman terms. But these are the core of all AI applications or AI services that you see. So these are the backbone of that. And LLMs basically uh, don't predict text. Sorry, they don't think like humans, but then they predict text in terms of what the next output would be. So they generate words based on patterns. Again, it all depends on what data that they are trained. And then they learn this from whatever data that you have given. So it could be a text-based data, it could be an audio data, it could be a video data. So it depends on every model. And I'm sure a lot of you would have heard about ChatGPT 3.5, 4.1, 4.0, Mini, Nano. You talk about Ken, you talk about DeepSeek R1, you talk about Claude Sonnet, Claude Haiku 3.5, 3.7. So these are different models, different LLMs that are created, and all of these are trained on different data. And because of their data set, the output will vary from model to model, right? So they essentially don't know exactly, but they are able to simulate knowledge based on what are the things that they have learned. So this is the core of your any AI application, whether you're building one or you're using one. And this is what is going to actually drive everything that's actually basically, if you're generating code, or if you're generating text, image, video, whatever, right? It all depends on the kind of LLM that you are using. And one of the most basic text could be test. to validate this would be, use a small model, let's say GPT 3.5 with GPT 4.10 nano, and then see, it'll give you a completely different response. And that actually depends on the data that it was trained on. So yeah, I mean that's quite a bit about LLMs, but again, this is a completely different field, and you can definitely dig in deeper to understand more about LLMs. The next thing that we would know, or which obviously dig deep as we go on, are agents. So essentially, these are softwares that can use AI to perform tasks. So you can, they have access. They are connected to LLMs, and then they have a bit of predictive and reasoning sort of ability. So when you're interacting with agents, they are able to perform certain actions based on the inputs that it gets from LLMs. Tools are the next things that basically make your AI tools more smarter or more extensible. So these are essentially external tools or APIs or functions that your agents can use. So, for example, let's say you are building an AI agent to uh, uh, tell you the weather, right? So, in this case, you can create a function that can actually go to the meteorological department's website and get you the latest weather. So that essentially is the external tool that you have created. So this tool can be used by your AI agent in conjunction with the LLM to give you more accurate responses. And that is why you'll see a lot of tooling is being created for agents to make them more powerful and more versatile. The next term is RAGs, which is basically short for retrieval augmented generation, and this basically is a technique wherein you can provide extra data to your AI application program or the agent that you are building. And this data could be files or text files, images, PDFs, or anything that belongs to you or your context. So LLM is basically trained on X data. Let's say it's trained on Wikipedia. And when you are building an agent for yourself, you want your agent to know more about your context. So let's say you are a startup owner, you would want this AI bot to know more about your startup, more about what you're doing, what your clients are, what's your work area, so on and so forth. So in such cases, through RAGs, you will be able to create a document, let's say, about your startup and give it to the AI agent or AI tool that you have built. So now, along with the LLM, your AI agent will have access to this data that you have shared, and now it will be able to respond to you with much more context, and it would be much more relatable for you. The next thing is vector databases. So these are different from traditional databases because these databases actually store relationships between the data that's coming in. So let's say you have a sentence that you have written, and if you store it in a typical database, it is just stored as regular text probably, or maybe numbers, int or string or things of that sort. But in vector databases, all of these are assigned some random numbers. Again, not random, but then these are based on some algorithms. And these numbers basically define how closely two words are related. And this again comes from other larger algorithms. So to put it in a very simple terms, let's say you have two words. One is a cat and one is a tiger. So in vector databases, what will happen is the numbers that would be assigned to the word cat and to the word lion would be relatively closer compared to cat and a parrot. And that is how it is able to understand that cat and tiger are more closely related rather than cat and a parrot. So similarly, that's exactly what happens within the vector databases. And I've given you really simple example, and that's again a completely world to dig into. But then that also forms the core of a particular AI system that you're working on. And last but not the least, what very important is prompt engineering. And I'm sure you would have seen this ad or probably skipped this ad on YouTube quite a number of times. And I'm not promoting this in any way, but prompt engineering is definitely quite helpful because when you are dealing with LLMs, when you're dealing with AI systems, everything depends on the kind of prompt that you give it, right? Uh, the more contextual, the more detailed your prompt is, the more better the responses your AI system can give to you, right? So prompt engineering is definitely all of us should be learning. There are a lot of free courses available that talk about different types of prompting, zero shot prompting, and how to get your system prompts in place, how to build more context. So I would highly recommend, all of you going and doing any of these prompt engineering courses if you have not done already, to improve your productivity. Now, let us move to the next section where I want to touch upon AI agents. And while I do that, I'm just trying to find out if we have any comments in the chat. And I don't know, I've lost that window somewhere. Just a minute. Okay, yeah, I have few comments that are coming in and not quite related to this. I think it's about a model that everyone's discussing. Anyways, so yeah, I found the window. So let's get back to the discussion. So AI agent is, I gave you a quick brief about what AI agents are. And like I said, these are autonomous systems that can plan and execute tasks that you give them based on the prompt that you've given. And then you can, they actually leverage LLMs for better reasoning and decision making. So they are obviously tied to an LLM, and then they also maintain the memory and learn from the interaction. So every time you interact with an AI agent, it's able to store the details that you have discussed with it in a temporary memory that basically builds up the context. And over time, it is able to understand what you are talking about, what your context is, and it all depends on the interactions that you do. So it builds up the memory and it understands what all is happening so that the future responses that it gives you, it's more accurate and more helpful to you, right? So it has that feature. And then lastly, it integrates with external tools and APIs, which we spoke about in the previous slide as well. Now, a lot of people have confusion between assistants versus agents, and while this slide has a good difference between both of these, I would like to take a very relatable or a very simple example. Uh, I'm sure all of you here watch cricket in some way or the other. I'm not going to ask what IPL team you are supporting this time, but if you all watch cricket, let's take example of Thala, MSD, right? So MSD, while he is playing cricket, he also has a team who handles him, right? And it could be everything from his contracts with CSK or BCCI or any other thing, along with all the media collaborations or brand collaborations, right? So there would be two people in the team. One would be an assistant, and one would be an agent. So think of it as assistant being the person whom Dhoni has to always say things to do, right? So he can say, "Hey, book a car for me. I need to be picked up from airport," or "Hey, schedule a meeting with someone," or maybe someone has sent something to me, just deliver it or deliver it to my house, or do it like that. So he's essentially, there is an assistant, and that assistant is able to do everything that you are able to that you tell that assistant to do. But then it's not going to do, or it doesn't basically do anything more than that, because that's not what it is supposed to do, right? uh, and that's where agents come into the picture, right? So Dhoni obviously has a lot of agents who handle him, especially in terms of the brand collaborations and deals. And in this case, Dhoni doesn't have to work with the agent and say that, "Hey, get me some work," or "I want to work with this brand," or "I don't want to work with this brand." the agents are doing this autonomously. So the brands reach out to agents. Agents have the understanding of what star power MSD has, what brands would relate to the stature of him, and then they do this autonomously based on their own understanding and their own expertise. So in this case, Dhoni is not directly involved with agents, but agents are constantly working and getting the work done. They are getting in more deals. They are ensuring that he is there at right places at the right time. And this is what assistants essentially cannot do, right? So you can go through the slide to get more technical understanding of it, but at a layman, this is how I explain it. Assistants, you tell them that hey, you do this, assistant will do it for you. Agents are more autonomous, more they have their own expertise, and they do a lot of proactive planning and can get things done for you. Uh, and that is what essentially the difference between agents and assistant is. So within an agent, again touching back on similar things, view what basically are the components of an agent, right? So you initially start with a foundational model, which we spoke about, the LLM model that you have. So it could be a ChatGPT 4 or a Claude, and if you need any extra data or files to be given, that's where you build a RAG system. So this is basically a method that you can use for enhancing the AI knowledge retrieval. So this is an extra additional knowledge that you're providing to your AI agent. You obviously have vector databases that is going to help with the memory for your AI agent that you are building. You will have tools. We spoke about tools that make these AI agents more versatile and more powerful. And these tools essentially are functions. You can write uh, a function in Python or JavaScript, and that function could probably call an API or insert something to database or fetch something from a webhook, so on and so forth. So you can make your AI assistants versatile by building and integrating more tools. And you can also have separate planning systems in place. So this could again basically be a set of prompts or maybe different algorithms altogether that can help you with the reasoning and planning. So when all of these components come together, they actually make up the AI agent. And all of these components are like foundational components. So you definitely need to have these components in place. But then the level of uniqueness or the level of complexity each one of has can actually depend on your typical use case. So how agents actually work. So this is a very simple funnel diagram. So it all basically starts with the user input, which is basically a chat, and that chat is taken by the agent, and that is shared with that is shared with the LLM as part of a prompt, as part of a context, and then LLM based on its training data and based on the user input, it generates some reasoning. And then you have vector DB in place that is actually helping you maintain the context for the longer chat operations. Based on what input the user has given, what response the LLM has generated, a function tool can come in the middle. So this is where it will autonomously decide whether to use a particular tool to perform an action or not. So if that is required, it will do that. It will have planning algorithms to optimize the sequence of steps or the responses that should be given to the end user. So it will go through that. And then eventually if there is any feedback that is provided maybe from a previous session or from the current session, so depending on how the agent is built, it can also work on feedback that is being provided, and then eventually the output is provided to the user, and this cycle keeps on repeating every time you actually provide an input to your agent. So how you actually build one agent, right? And we spoke about the various core components that are needed, the anatomy of AI agent, right, in the previous slide. So obviously you'll start by choosing a foundation model, right? You want to use a ChatGPT 4, you want to use Claude, you want to use Gemini. So you start by choosing the model that you want. And then you will implement the memory and retrieval part of it. So there are again a lot of tools like Pinecone and VV8 that can help you with this. Then when you talk about external tooling, you would be writing a bunch of code. You could be using APIs. You could be using SDKs. So you will do that. And then, interestingly, you also have to create conversation flows because when a user is interacting with an agent, you want to have a set of responses coming in, or you want to make your agent to be able to understand the inputs from user better and respond to the queries in a particular way, right? So, you would have to design those user flows. You would have to have some templated agent responses, the various user intents. So you would have to spend a lot of time doing all of this as well. And lastly, you'll have to set up security and monitoring, right? You want to ensure that not everyone can use your agent that you have created, and this could be for a lot of reasons. Especially when you're working in an enterprise model, you don't want a model to be used by some other team if it is specifically created for you, right? A lot of compliance reasons that come in. You also want to set up monitoring because you want to understand how your platform is performing, how your model is performing, how your agent is performing. So you would want to collect a lot of data in place and then use those metrics, generate logs at different places to give you a better idea of how the system is. Now, uh, if you look at what I said in the last few seconds, you would understand the scale or the complexity of things involved, right? Building an agent might look simple when you look at these 5 points here, but then actually when you start doing it, it gets really difficult because there are tons of components that needs to be used. You have, and this is only on the software side, right? You'll have obviously your hardware as well, where you would need an orchestration layer which actually handles how these components will be deployed onto your GPU, and then this thing will run, and then all of these different layers, application network, security, so on and so forth. Now, to simplify this entire process of building an agent, there are a bunch of tools that are available today that help you build AI agents. And one of the tools that I'm going to focus on today is OBOT. You can check it out on obot.ai. I'll be sharing the link in the slides as well. And what OBOT does is it, like I said, it's an open source platform which actually helps you build agents. So you can create an agent, you can create a co-pilot, you can create autonomous agentic workflows as well. You can create automated workflows with an AI agent, so which can trigger autonomously and it can perform the action that you have told or the action that you have asked. So it can do that. It has integrations with the leading LLM providers. So, once you sign up for Robot, you will have access to all the LLMs that are there, most of them. So you have ChatGPT, you have Claude, you have Gemini, you have DeepSeek. So all you have to do is provide your models or services API key. So in this case, if you're using OpenAI or a ChatGPT model, you can get the API key and use it here. So you can bring in whatever model you want. It has built-in RAG for your data, so you don't need to configure and figure out how the RAG system would work or how you build it. But in this case, that's already built. So all you have to do is provide your files to Obot, and it'll just use it as part of the context. It integrates really nicely with a lot of external APIs and tools, and that we'll see in the demo as well. And lastly, it supports OAuth2 authentication as well. So you can use your Google accounts, or if you're part of a workspace, you can use your enterprise accounts to use OBOT to build an agent. Now, in terms of what OBOT does, here's a very high level diagram of what it actually does. So there are three types of users over here. You have employees and customers who would be using the robot that you're creating. And then you'll have developers who are actually going to build the integrations or build the robots, bots that you can, that the users can use. And then obviously you have the platform team or the AI team that would be taking care of the robot server. So if you see here, the two major components here are the chat and the server. And server is where all the server related components sit, right? So everything from agent runtime to workspaces to knowledge to SSO, integration, LLM collectors, everything is present on the OBOT server. And the developers here will be building the integrations with the OBOT server. So if you have a custom application, you can build an integration to that using different tools, APIs, SDKs. So you can build that, and then that would be added as part of your AI agent, and that's where your employees and customer can use that particular agent. So this is exactly what it says. So this team is managing the Obot server. The developers are creating custom applications and publishing them, and then employees are using that particular application. So a simple example here would be, let's say in an organization, I have a marketing team, right? And marketing team has a certain set of data or certain set of tools that they're using. So they can create an integration with one of their tools. Let's say they are doing social media, right? So they would connect it with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, get some metrics. So they might have a custom tool for it. So they'll create a, a tooling for that, connect it with OBOT, and then give access only to the marketing related team. So that team can basically chat with OBOT and ask, how many views were there on my LinkedIn post, or in the last 1 week, which of my LinkedIn posts worked the best. And since OBOT now has access to the LinkedIn data part of the tooling, it will basically understand and give response to the employee. So here is the QR code that you can scan to use OBOT, and you can try this as well. And it is currently free to use. So while I did mention about using your own API keys, you can obviously do that. But even outside of that, currently the tool based also supports free login. So you can just scan the QR code, log in with your Google account, and then it will be able to log you in, and you can basically start using the platform. So what I'll do now is I'll probably look into what we are going to do. So I'll just show this, and then we'll go to Obot and see what it's going to do. So we'll be creating a study buddy. uh, you know, Sorry for the name, but that's an agent that we'll create, and this agent will basically help you prepare for your exam. So it can generate study notes and MCQ questions for you. We will also see how the OBOT's RAG system comes into play. So we'll be downloading some set of PDF files that we would be giving it to the OBOT. So now it has more context. So we'll see that, and we'll also integrate it with the Google tool to create a reminder to wake up and study for your exam. So that's what we'll be doing. So I'll just stop sharing my screen for a while, and then I can get to the demo. So let me just change my window, and just a moment. Meanwhile, yeah, if you have any questions, please keep them flowing in the comments, and we will take a look at them now. So where's the window? Where's the window? Yes, I think I have it here. Let me go back and share my screen. Yep, I think my window is ready, and here's the screen. So this is the OBOT catalog. So basically, once you log into obot.ai, this is the website, you can log in with your Google credentials. So the first thing that you will see is the catalog, which is basically a set of agents that are already created for you by the OBOT team. And so you can go through any of these. If you want to build one for yourself, you can do that, or you can use the pre-built ones. So as I said, we are going to be building an OBOT. So we'll click on create a new OBOT, and what it's going to do is it's basically going to come up with this interface. So this is an interface that I'm sure a lot of you would have already seen it somewhere. It's a typical ChatGPT sort of interface. You have a chat bar here with which you can interact with your OBOT. Now let us go ahead and edit the OBOT. So you can provide a name and a description for your OBOT and the instructions. So these instructions will be the ones that would be driving the entire agent that you're building. And based on that, it will be basically interacting with the user. So let's give this a name. So let's say Study Buddy is the name of my OBOT, and I'll say helps you prepare for exams. Your Study Buddy. So if you see here, it's updated. That's the name of my agent, and this is the description for my agent. Now, what this agent will truly do, let's just copy the instruction that I've already written, and this is what it's do. So the instruction here is you are a study agent. So this is where we are setting the guidelines for the agent. So the agent knows that you are a study assistant, and you mentioned that you help me revise for examinations, summarize any topic that I ask you, and give me short definitions and quiz me with three MCQ questions in the end. So this is the instructions that we have given to the agent, and based on this it is going to be responding to whatever queries that we are going to give it. So now, since this is done, what we can do is we can just start the chat. So this is a very basic way of building one. So let's just say hey, and so we have already provided it with the instructions, and if you see here, it's actually able to, identify what it is supposed to do. So in this case, it's actually helping you. Uh, I mean, basically based on the instruction, it knows that it has to respond to you based on the summary, the definitions and help, and it also has to create a quiz for you. So let us go ahead and ask that. I want to understand vector databases. Can you help? So in the background, it is using ChatGPT by default, but then you can obviously change those models, on the fly, or whenever you are building an agent, you can do it before that. But the free version that all of us will use most likely will use ChatGPT or a OpenAI model. So here, if we asked about vector databases, so it gave us a nice summary of what a vector database is. It's a type of database designed to store blah 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 as vector array of numbers. They are used to represent complex data, and then it has given a definition as well. So what a vector is, what an embedding is, what a similarity search, what is indexing, and then it has given me a quiz as well. So I can ask. Can you give me the answer key for this MCQ? So now it's given me the correct answers for these three questions that it has given. So this is a very basic agent that we have created using OBOT. And if you see here, it was a very basic use case. We just came to OBOT, created an agent, gave it a name, gave it a description, gave it some set of instructions, and it is able to do this. But now, if you see this entire question that we asked and the response that it gave is very generic. How it was able to generate this response, because it was trained on some data, it knew about vector databases, and that's how it was able to generate this data and put it in this way for me. But since all of us are in different colleges, we have different curriculums, and hence it would make much more sense if we are able to provide this with more context. So that is where we will use the option for file knowledge. So we spoke about RAGs, where we were able to provide more data to our particular uh, AI agent that we are building. So we can do that. So what I'll do is I'll upload a PDF file here, and this PDF file basically is an uh, AI course material that I found on the internet. So while it is uploading, let me probably show you. So this is a note on what artificial intelligence is for BTech fourth year students. So it talks about what AI is, foundations of AI, and then it also talks a lot about agents and environments, uh, and a bunch of other things. So if you see, this is a 143-page document. It talks about various algorithms as well here, right? Depth first search and everything. So if you see, it's a 144-page document that we have uploaded, and now if you see, this file is successfully uploaded. So now our agent has access to this particular file, and now if we are going to ask anything to this agent, it will be able to refer to this file and help us with that. So now if I start a new chat. I'll say, hey, can you help me understand what algorithms are involved in building AI systems based on the notes that you have. Now, so I've asked it and I've told that, hey, give me, based on whatever notes you have, you generate it, and then give me the definition of what all things are required as part of this. So I told that build, I mean, access the notes. So it has these notes over here, and based on that, it has given me all these things: breadth for search, depth for search, and these all are obviously a part of this note. So now, if you see, it has generated the entire study material based on these notes, and similarly, it has generated the quiz based on the notes that is provided here. So this is more contextual because you have a document that you have uploaded. Now, the third thing that we will try to do over here is we'll try to work with some tools. So Obot gives you an option to add tools, and tools, like I said, are basically APIs or external tools that you want to call. So by default, there are tools which is browser. So when if you give any website in the prompt, it will be able to access the website. It'll be able to analyze the image, generate image. It has memory built in. It can search, and it has time tool as well. So it can deal with current time and stuff. So these are the tools that are already available. I mean, already part of this agent. There are some other tools that you can add to this as well. So you can add an Excel tool if you want to interact with Excel files. You can add a GitHub tool if you want to interact with your GitHub repo. So in this case, if I expand this, so it will see it can add a comment to an issue, it can close an issue, it can close a PR, it can get issues. So it can do a bunch of things with GitHub. Similarly, there are a bunch of other tools that are available: Google Docs, Gmail, Search Console, LinkedIn, Notion, Slack, WordPress, so on and so forth. So this library is continuously being updated. So if you are using Obot, you might suddenly see some new tools being added here because the team is working on that. So what I'll do is I'm going to add the Google Calendar tool over here, and we will now. So now, if you see, it has access to the Google Calendar tool, which means now when I am going to interact with this agent, because it has access to the Google Calendar tool, it will be able to do a lot more things for the events or anything that I want to do with the calendar. So let's start a new thread and let's start chatting again. Yeah. So, can you help me learn depth first search based on the knowledge that you have? So it has given me a description of what it is, and then it has given me the quiz as well. Now, let us see if this tool actually works. So, can you remind me to revise this at 5 a.m. tomorrow? I have not tried this demo earlier, so I don't know if it will work or not, but let us see. So you see, it while I asked you create an event to remind me, it automatically understood that I have to use the Google Calendar tool. I didn't give any instruction in terms of what tool you need to use. I just said I want to create a reminder. It knew that it was supposed to use this tool. And since OAuth is supported, so I'm just going to go ahead and use one of my accounts to log in here. And once the login is done, the connection will be completed and I can come back here. Now, if you see, it has set a reminder for 5 a.m. tomorrow. Let us go ahead and see if that actually is the case. 1 second. And I'm just trying to log in. Because I have multiple accounts, obviously I'm doing it in a different window right now. I'll come back and show you the calendar on this window. So just the calendar. And if you see here, there is an event created for 5 a.m. tomorrow, revised depth first search from 5 to 5:15, and it was able to do this. Let us also try one more thing. Can you update the description of this event with this study material as a event description? Let's see if this works. So you can also see what it is actually doing here, and then obviously it will give us these details. But if you want to debug or probably understand what it did, you can click on the tool and it will tell you what it is doing. And let us go back to our uh, yeah, to the calendar. Let us just refresh it and see if the event is updated or not. Let us go at 5 a.m. And yeah, so if you see here, the description is updated with the complete study material that we had asked it to update, even with the MCQs. So yeah, that was a very basic demo that I had to share. And you are free to try this tool and build your own agents. Go ahead and give this a try. And you can also tag the team. Obot is available on Twitter and LinkedIn, so you can do that. You can tag me as well, and let us know what kind of interesting agents that you build. And while I go back to my PPT, let me just go ahead to some questions, because I see some questions that have come up here. So can the bot, okay, Danish asks, can the bot provide answer beyond what is written in the PDF, or only the content available in the PDF? So it can definitely provide answers beyond the PDF, because PDF is just one thing, one short aspect that you have given. It is obviously trained on a lot of data, and it has access to the LLM. So it can definitely give you responses outside of it. But then, because you have provided it with this, the kind of prompt that you ask, it will understand that, okay, I need more context, and it is automatically going to go to your file, find the data from there, and share it. So if I'm asking it here that, okay, get me information about vector databases from the internet, it's not at all going to go through the PDF, because I have, first thing I mentioned, get it from the internet, and second, obviously, because it has access to the internet and the LLM, so it can get data from there and then accordingly build the responses. So I hope that answers your question, and I'll quickly get back to my deck. Let me just find it where it is. 1 second. I'll have to stop sharing my screen, and I'll try to get back to what we were discussing. Meanwhile, yeah, if you have any further questions, about this, you can definitely go ahead and ask me right now, or even outside of this. If you want me to discuss it with you, I can definitely do that as well. And just a moment. Yep. So we just looked at the demo, and yeah, so the slides are here. And yeah, so the key takeaways were, we obviously looked at how AI moved from 1950s to 2020s, how it has evolved. We looked at how programming has evolved, how the applications, the way we develop applications have evolved. So we looked into that. We learned about the differences between AI agents and assistants. So now you know what the differences are, and you can make one for yourself. We looked at the core components. We looked at LLMs. We understood what LLMs are, what agents are, what tools are, what are vector databases, prompt engineering. So we learned about all of this, and then we eventually built our own OBOT AI assistant, which was a study buddy. So yeah, that's pretty much what I had for today's webinar. A couple of things that I would like to call out. One thing is the AI webinars. So I conduct a lot of AI related webinars on our company page. These are usually monthly sessions where we talk about anything and everything related to AI. Usually around infrastructure, observability, security. So I usually have guests from different companies where we discuss about AI topics. So you can scan this QR code so that you can set up. I mean, basically you are there. You are notified of all the AI webinars that we do in the future. Uh, Secondly, since I'm a CNCF ambassador, I will shamelessly plug this KubeCon, which is the world's largest Kubernetes conference, is happening in Hyderabad this time. This is the second edition that's happening in India. It's happening in Hyderabad. It is happening on 6th and 7th August. And if you are interested or are exploring cloud native or Kubernetes, please make sure to register for KubeCon. The discounts are available. There's a 10% discount if more than 5 people are joining in. There are also scholarships available for tickets and travel. So all of you who need any financial assistance can definitely go to KubeCon India's website and apply for a scholarship. But otherwise, the tickets are available. The talk schedule will be available in a couple of days, so you would know who the speakers are, what kind of talks are happening, which will help you also decide whether you want to attend or not. And yeah, that's my time. I think I shot by 2 minutes. It is 1 hour and 2 minutes, and I had a great time talking about AI assistants and agents and LLMs and stuff. I'm also learning, not a pro, but I'm sure you found this helpful. Do connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever you are, and I'd be more than happy to help all of you. Thanks again, team Codewave for having me here, and all the best to all of you for the hackathon. I'm looking forward to seeing what all exciting things that you are going to build, especially with this after this Gen AI session, right? What you're going to build and what you are going to do out of it. So, yeah, thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much, Atul, for sharing such an insightful thoughts, for being here with us today. Your experience and
Thank you.
vision was truly wonderful. Before wrapping up this event, Atul, I would love to ask one question, which I guess
Yeah.
our audience will also find valuable. So the question is, what advice would you give to the aspiring developers and who want to build the impactful AI tools and not just prototypes?
So, I think one thing that all of us need to understand, irrespective of how experienced we are, is understanding the fundamentals in place. So, right, so whatever you are building, you might be doing a lot of what do you call competitive programming or things, on that league. But I think the fundamentals are absolutely necessary, because that is only if you have your fundamentals in correct in place, that's when you can build better systems. Uh, Also, I think with AI, it's not that we cannot use AI or we have to use AI everywhere, but then we need to use
Yes.
AI systems judiciously. And one of the things is, don't just blindly copy paste what AI generates for you. Whether you are building a small project or whether you're in industry, never blindly copy. And one of the very good things of AI or any of these tools nowadays is that you can learn on the go with them. So if it has generated some code for you, you can definitely question it and ask, hey, why are you using a while loop over here? Don't you think we can
Yes.
use an if else over here? Or can't we use a switch case over here, right? So
Yes. Yes.
while you are using it to generate code, you can also keep learning on the go with it. And I think that's a far more better use case of using AI while you are building something as well as learning something. So by the time your project is done, you also know your project really well as to why you have done a particular decision. So yeah, those would be my 2 points.
I would say this was great, and so here we comes to the end. So I would like to remind again for the our audience that we are going to organize one hackathon. It is the second session of HackPrix season 2. So I would love you folks to come here, and I would love to see you folks here. So now we will be providing you the links of CodeWave Hub and HackPrix, so you folks can follow us and stay updated. And again, I would like to thank you, Atul, for giving your time and all those things. That was great. I loved it.
Absolutely. Looking forward to connecting with all of you again. Thanks so much. Bye bye.
For sure, for sure, for sure. Thank you, Atul. Thank you. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye bye.